Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you are all having a great day. Before we start, I do apologize if I sound a bit frazzled or annoyed. I have a very bad headache. I don't know if it's sinuses, pollen. I have no idea what it is, but I woke up with a headache and it's not too nice. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump right into it. The co-founder at Hong Kong-based blockchain investment firm known as Kinetic has predicted that Bitcoin will rally as high as $30,000 by the end of 2019. Kinetic Capital's Yehan Chu provided his stance on major issues around Bitcoin in an interview with Bloomberg Markets Asia, published on the 28th of May. According to Chu, Bitcoin will continue its bullish direction along with the rest of the crypto market in 2019 due to three main factors, including the drive of mass adoption by global giants such as Facebook, JP Morgan, Rakuten, and Fidelity, who have recently turned their interest towards cryptocurrency. I know a lot of people don't care for the fact that JP Morgan and Facebook have expressed their interest in getting into the cryptocurrency space, but it is very significant that we have in today's situation where a currency, Bitcoin, that is only 10 years old, has captured the imagination and the greed of other major companies that there are right now around the world who are so interested, or rather, they are trying to make sure that they try and get a slice of the Bitcoin pie, because it is fairly certain at this point, if you don't understand why Facebook, JP Morgan, and Fidelity have gotten into cryptocurrencies, it's because across the wider market, a lot of analysts, like, we may not even get a lot of news like this, but this is why I say that sometimes people should definitely be listening to a cryptocurrency podcast. There are very few of them. A lot of them are very, like, hypey, and they really don't even have like proper information. Like, there was one of them, it was like three guys drinking beers. They talked about crypto. By the end of it, they were all completely wasted, and you really couldn't keep up with what they were saying. Anyway, the point is, the amount of interest that's behind the scenes and the amount of analysis that people are actually doing as to the future price of where Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies could be. This is why we hear a lot of people, or these major entities, trying to get into it. So while we may not care for them getting into it, it does help to promote cryptocurrency adoption, because there are then other people who realize, okay, Facebook and JP Morgan are using cryptocurrencies. Oh, that's very interesting. I remember this cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, that sounds really cool. And then they see the price of Bitcoin going up, and then they start buying into Bitcoin. And then when they have Bitcoin, their friends start buying into Bitcoin. So it does help for the adoption in the long term. But I know it does ruffle a few feathers when we do talk about them. Chu added that his bullish prediction is also based on the suggestion that the crypto industry could become a better tech story that is sought by global investors after what he calls the disappointments around Uber and Lyft's IPOs. Yeah, I'm not going to even get into that one. Finally, the expert pointed out the upcoming Bitcoin halving, a process of dividing the number of generated rewards per block in order to maintain the total supply of Bitcoin, which he notes has previously pushed Bitcoin's price higher. He said, a combination of these three factors, I think, will really see us getting from where we are now to $30,000 per Bitcoin. There's a lot of stuff happening over the last couple of day and a half or 2 days, and I'm going to get to it slowly as we go through the video. But there's really, and it's like you see a hand coming towards your face to smack you, and then you wonder if it's actually going to smack you, and then it smacks you directly in the face. Like, there's something so obvious that's happening in the cryptocurrency industry right now, and it reminds me that I have to, if you think I was bullish before, just wait till you see me next time. And also that I just want people to kind of pay attention to exactly what's happening in the space. The amount of price predictions that we're getting. I know a lot of people don't care for price predictions. I know no one can dictate or say exactly where the cryptocurrency space is going. But when we have a number of people, this is not the first time that we've heard in over $30,000 by the end of this year. We're getting anywhere from, depending on how far you want to go, $30,000 to $100,000 by the end of this year. And also within the next year or year and a half. Not even like 2.5 years, we're getting $250,000 to $1 million Bitcoin prices, and it's causing this huge energy rush, massive panic behind the scenes that I think a lot of people just simply don't pay attention to, maybe because they aren't as into cryptocurrencies as, I don't want to say they should be, maybe as much as they want to be. Maybe they have other things going on in their life, which is totally fine. We, not everyone can be as into cryptocurrencies as I can. I mean, it kind of absorbs the entirety of my life. Anyway, we'll get into more stuff as we end up going on, but let's continue. Next up, Big Four accounting giant Deloitte is testing its new Ethereum-based data management platform with 3 Irish banks. The Institute of Banking, or the IOB, Bank of Ireland, AIB, Ulster Bank, and Deloitte are collaborating in developing a new financial services industry education platform based on blockchain technology. The new platform is a first in the European financial services industry and will support the verification, tracking, direct access to, and management of regulatory and other professional designations, education qualifications, and lifelong learning credentials. The platform is designed to lead to lower costs and reduce risk throughout the banking industry. While this may not be the most exciting thing that I've ever read, the points to bring home here is that Ethereum is being built on by a lot of mega institutions, and I think a lot of people get confused as far as like, well, they're not using the Ether token, well, they're not so and so and so, but they're building their entire infrastructures on this, and this is not the first time that we've heard of something like this. I think this is probably the second and or third time that within the European economic zone area that another institutions or banks are building on top of the Ethereum protocol to be able to manage exactly what's going on. We see a lot of, I don't usually talk about it because I don't really care to talk about soybeans on this channel, but there are a lot of companies around the world and like Walmart-y type things, you know, really big stores and farmers and stuff like that who are actually writing their information and not laws, but other protocols, whatever the case might be, on top of Ethereum to be able to track things on a blockchain. They're choosing Ethereum to be able to track their stuff as it's going around the world. And this is also another major big thing as well. I don't know if they're using Ethereum, but I know that the people from Louis Vuitton, Moët Hennessy, have announced that they're also going to be using blockchain to be able to track where their bags are, where they're going, how they're transferred, who actually owns what, and if the verification number inside of the bags is so-and-so and so-and-so. This is becoming a very big thing, but the interesting point to take home is that it's usually being built on top of Ethereum, which also then ties into the entire thing that we had before with the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, comprised of hundreds of companies who are going to be using Ethereum, and they actually are using Ethereum, which then gives me the idea that Ethereum is not going anywhere and why I continue to remain bullish on the Ethereum platform. Next up, encrypted instant messaging service known as Telegram has officially released a test client for its Telegram Open Network, or TON, according to a recent email to investors. The archive of files available for download on test.ton.org is a distribution of a preliminary version of the TON blockchain network light client, along with the relevant portions of the TON blockchain library, according to the README information file. The development is a simplified, stable version of the light client. On the 25th of May, a GitHub user seemingly uploaded a version of the client per the README file on GitHub. The client, if configured properly, connected to a full node on the TON network, testnet, and sent some queries to it. Apart from the light client itself, users can also install a configuration file for smart contract developments, which connects the light client to a special server. Users thus can start creating new smart contracts, so on and so forth. You can do this, you can do that. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and they were explaining why they think the release of the Kin cryptocurrency on the Kick platform and also the Telegram blockchain are very significant. It's because, or rather, when it comes down to being able to send value around the world, this is part of the reason why they've gotten into it. Don't be fooled or surprised or think otherwise that these companies are getting into the cryptocurrency space because they don't want to make money. They're doing it because they're trying to corner a section of the market the same exact way that Facebook and the other big banks are also trying to do when they talk about adding a bank digital cryptocurrency, what have you. But what's really interesting to notice is that these are also blockchains that are being released that are trying to, they don't say so explicitly, but the entire point of these blockchains is that they are claiming to, or that they will be able to handle such an enormous amount of transactions per second that people believe that they could also try to also become major smart contract platforms and or build video games on top of their systems as well. Because the main idea is, once again, I think I said this yesterday as well, is that in the future, people will use blockchain seamlessly, won't even know that they're using blockchain. But the way to do that, the easiest way, is to kind of get to have a, like an email system, some type of a messaging system where you're actually using the blockchain or using the token that's underlying on top of that blockchain, or even if you're just using something like video games. And they were explaining, I can't remember which podcast it was. It might have been from the Wall Street Journal. They had something recently. I don't know if this is the exact one, but they had one. It was the Wall Street Journal, and it was something about blockchain. They were talking about, it was a very odd thing, and I'm glad that the person who they were discussing it with was, you know, level-headed and knew exactly what he was talking about. The discussion kind of came down to that no one's really using the dApps on EOS or on Tron or on Ethereum. You know, maybe they have a couple hundred people per day. And the guy was like, yeah, well, it took Apple and everybody else about a good 20 to 30 years to really get their programs together. They were trying to build the same exact things that are being built on blockchain right now in the late 80s and early 90s to get people to play these video games and to play on their systems, and no one was really doing it because it just wasn't an enormous amount. There wasn't an enormous amount of awareness, and this is why it comes down to why I still am, regardless of what's happening with the SEC, am still relatively strongly bullish that the price of Kin eventually will go up. The same exact thing with the ton token, whatever they end up calling it, is because they're finding different ways to be able to use this. And it's no longer a situation of trying to figure out how to onboard 500 people, 2,000 people to your platform to actually use your cryptocurrency or to use your token. It comes down to the fact that these platforms already have millions, tens of millions, 100 million people on their platform. If you kind of release something that says, hey, you get 5 of these for free, send these to your friend, and everyone's sending this money back and forth, and eventually people start accumulating them, playing video games where you actually get these things for free. This leads us into the world where blockchain becomes mainstream because people are using it without even realizing that they're using it, and they're using the cryptocurrencies that are being created, whatever, on a daily basis. It's very interesting to see. This should apparently be coming out soon. I think their deadline was Halloween. Yeah, let's move on. Next up, this is a good one. The president of Germany's central bank, the Deutsche Bundesbank, the BBK, has warned central banks about the potential risks of introducing digital currencies. This was reported by Reuters on the 29th of May. Jens Weidmann, BBK president and chairman of the board of the Bank for International Settlements, or the BIS, reportedly claimed that the adoption of digital money could potentially destabilize the financial system during periods of crisis. The German economist explained that easy access to digital currencies could accelerate a collapse of lenders, while it would fundamentally change the business model of banks, even in a good economic environment. I'm going to try and get back to that in 1 second. Weidmann also argued that easy access to digital money can potentially lead to increased volatility, which would negatively affect central banks in terms of balance sheets. The Deutsche Bundesbank is part of the European system of central banks and is reportedly the most influential entrant of the organization due to its former size. The bank is purportedly the first central bank to acquire full independence, resulting in the name Bundesbank, motto for its form of a central bank. The Bundesbank model is reportedly used by the European Central Bank as a basis for the entire Euro system. This is now, I don't know if what they're doing could be considered, hate the word, but it's a good shortening. FUD. This is the 3rd or 4th country that we've heard from in the last week and a half or 2 weeks. We just heard from Russia about a day or two ago, where their economists and the heads of these banks, or the so and so are now coming forward with these grim warnings as to exactly what could happen with cryptocurrencies. The one that we had from Russia was they pretty much said the exact same thing. They were afraid of normal people gaining access to cryptocurrencies because more people would eventually choose to use those cryptocurrencies, and it would destabilize the economy of Russia. This kind of comes down to the exact same thing. The issuance of, or the easy gettingness of cryptocurrencies that we have right now is a very big problem for a lot of people around the world, and is mainly down to the current institutions that we have. I think it's very interesting when, I'm sure they do this on purpose. You can't really, even negative news sometimes can be, you know, good news, negative air quotes. If more television shows, news outlets started talking about cryptocurrency, even in a negative light, the negativity eventually dissipates and people only know exactly what they were talking about before. Rather, they don't see it in as much of a negative light, especially if you hear about Bitcoin every single day on the news and it's always negative. And eventually, about a year and a half later, you hear that someone has made money in Bitcoin. You yourself then go, okay, maybe I should start buying that as well because I also want to make money. Governments cannot stop. Someone was asking me this before. If governments can stop Bitcoin, you can ban Bitcoin all you like. Bitcoin is banned in 7, 8, 9 countries around the world, but people still have access to it because the internet. And this is just how things are. So when I was talking about over here why we get these really crazy prices and predictions, it's because that banks around the world are already seeing the implications of them not really taking this seriously many years ago. I spoke about that a couple of weeks ago, where there was a situation in 2000. Someone wrote, and I thought it was incredible that they wrote this. They said, they wrote this, you know, a couple weeks ago, and they said in 2011, 2012, if banks and higher institutions or whatever had really taken Bitcoin seriously for what it was going to be. Because at that point, we had a lot of people talking about Bitcoin is going to take over the world. Bitcoin is going to hit $10,000 one day. Bitcoin is going to do so and so and so. Bitcoin is going to blah blah blah, and everyone's like, yeah, okay. Like when we start talking about a Bitcoin price of $100,000, people were talking about that in 2011, 2012, and they said if banks and institutions had taken that seriously, they could have dismantled the entire Bitcoin network because there were barely 100,000 people on the network. You could have easily initiated a 51% attack or something just like it to destroy the entire Bitcoin network. You could have implemented code if you wanted to, whatever the case might be, to kind of dismantle the entire network. But as they have not paid attention to it, and they did not pay attention to it, even when prices went up to $20,000 in 2017, it came down to the fact that prices were going down. They were like, okay, we don't have to issue any so-and-so, we don't need any rules or regulations on these things because the cryptocurrency space is dying. For some reason, they're in their own little world where they only think that their system is going to continue lasting forever, and that's not how things are going to be. It's impossible at this point. Bitcoin is unstoppable. It's definitely unstoppable. So when we get news like this, I think it's very important to pay attention to it because once again, I think a lot of people, regardless of how much you might hear, some people still lose focus of exactly what all of this is about. We are going to have a system where the old way of banking, I don't believe that banks are going to die completely. I think it's completely impossible. We will always have a world where people will desire some type of a banking system to be able to hold their money. There's no situation in this world right now. If someone has a tenth of a Bitcoin goes up to $10 million and they have $1 million that they're going to want to put that into their drawer, under their bed, or even leave that onto their computer. People just have this mentality that we've grown up with for the last couple of 100 years to use a bank. What's going to happen is that banks are going to have to change their models. And this is why I thought it was also very interesting that we see a lot of other banking institutions who are also now either getting into Bitcoin or are building on top of Ethereum, or even the one that we had before was Visa and MasterCard, who they were talking to Facebook, or even when we get these other banks around the world who are like talking and integrating XRP, XRapid, or even XCurrent onto their platforms, because it kind of comes down to the fact that when we live in a world, or rather we already live in a world where payments can be sent instantly and very, very cheap, you have to change your business model because no one's going to start using you anymore. And this is why we're seeing a lot of the major industry leaders starting to come forward and talking about, we also think blockchain is cool. Let's implement it ourselves. If we didn't have cryptocurrencies, if we didn't have Bitcoin, if they had destroyed Bitcoin years ago, they could care less about allowing you and your family and your friends to save money as you're sending money around the world. If I try to send money from where I am to any other place in the world, the international payment banking fees are terrible, absolutely horrible. Usually, like, both sides of the party have to end up paying fees as well. But when you send any other cryptocurrency, especially ones that have like the transaction fees are like a tenth of a cent, even if you send Bitcoin and you're trying to send, for instance, 100,000 US dollars through Bitcoin in Bitcoin, and your transaction fees are $1.59, that the banks can't match that, and they won't match that. And this is where we get that talk about the collapse of the former economic world that we have. This is going to happen very quickly, and I think it's going to. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen over the course of a 2 to 3 year period, and we're going to live in a very different world. I've experienced it. I'm pretty sure you've experienced it as well. When you're into crypto for even a week, and you realize that you can send money to your friend in Mongolia, in Japan, in like 3, 4, 5 seconds without any delay, and they get that money and they can send it right back to you, or like whatever the actual case might be, you realize that the banking and current system that we have right now is just complete garbage. It just should not be an actual thing. So I'm expecting a bit of an acceleration of many banks around the world who are going to be coming forward to talk about that. They believe that either cryptocurrencies are a mistake. I'm pretty sure you've also seen a lot of there was that congressman, I think, who said that he thinks that Bitcoin should be banned. I love sentences like that because they don't really understand exactly that you can't ban Bitcoin, you can't destroy Bitcoin, you can't stop Bitcoin at this point. It's just how the protocol works. Like, every single day that Bitcoin stays alive, the stronger the actual model gets. And when we end up having a situation where Bitcoin is already this big, it's already almost indestructible. Imagine how large the actual network will be in 2 to 3 years when we have, I think we have, like, it's estimated anywhere between 30 to 50 million people are on the Bitcoin network. Imagine when we have around 1 billion people. It's going to be completely unstoppable. Anyway, I love news like this. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a lot more news like this. Look forward to your local bank eventually either issuing their own cryptocurrency or talking about that they're going to be using some other type of cryptocurrency system. I think the largest nail in the coffin for them will be that they have to announce that they are basing their prices on Bitcoin, or that they're using Bitcoin as some type of collateral, or that they themselves are also buying up Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. That's kind of the next step. I mean, we have a very huge step before us, but we've already come, you know, there are already thousands of steps beneath us that we've already walked up, because it was a long journey to get here. But I think it's indicative of where we are going when we have major institutions talking about, when you talk about something, when banks are talking about digital currencies specifically, it's because they fear them. And this is where their fear lies right now, because they know that they have waited too long and they have kind of missed the boat. Let's move on. Next up. At a fraught moment for government-industry relations, this one's very interesting. For those of you who weren't listening before, please listen to this. At a fraught moment for government-industry regulations or relations, U.S. regulators and cryptocurrency insiders are sitting down for a meeting. The Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC, will convene its first fintech forum on Friday at the agency's headquarters in Washington, D.C., discussing a range of issues related to digital assets and distributed ledger technology. The speaker roster includes a dozen legal, financial, and technical experts, as well as several key SEC officials. Yet, while some see an opportunity to air the industry's concerns and get a better understanding of the SEC's perspective, the forum comes at a time when some major crypto firms are taking a more aggressive tack. Most notably, crypto startup known as Circle. They're headed by, I believe, oh gosh, of course I don't remember the name. It's not JP Morgan Chase. It's one of the other major banks. I had it right on the tip of my tongue and now it's gone. Anyway, Goldman Sachs. Yeah, Circle is headed by Goldman Sachs. Said this month it had laid off 30 of its employees, blaming an increasingly restrictive regulatory climate in the United States as a factor. In a subsequent blog post, Circle said the SEC, at the very least, had issued confusing, if not contradictory, guidance. The firm cited a speech last year by Director William Hinman, which emphasized decentralization as a key factor in determining whether a token is a security, and a more recent framework which did not mention decentralization at all. Messaging platform Kik has also recently made headlines with $5 million fund to defend crypto from regulatory overreach. The crowdfunding campaign, which includes, and so on, so you can donate, blah, 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 blah. The regulator sent Kik a so-called Wells notice in November 2018, notifying the company that the SEC staffers believe it violated securities laws when it raised $98 million in a token sale for its Kin cryptocurrency. Kik CEO Ted Livingston had said that the company spent about $5 million communicating with the regulator since then. Circle, Kik, and others say a lack of clarity from the SEC about what is and what is not a security is hurting the industry and holding back innovation in the United States. But it does not appear as though this uncertainty will be resolved on Friday, given the lineup and agenda, not to mention legal limits on what the SEC can do. So without reading any further, because it kind of continues going on, it's going to be a very interesting Friday. I assume sometime later during the day when this meeting has concluded, I assume it will be filmed and or spoken about, or there will be people who will be able to relay the news to us as to exactly what happened. This is going to be very interesting because it's going to be the SEC in a room with people who are pro-crypto. And I don't think tensions will boil over. I assume people will be relatively professional about it. But it's something that I mentioned last year. I said the US is, for some reason, not taking cryptocurrency seriously. Everyone keeps talking about how they want to rule over and regulate cryptocurrencies, but no one's giving any information as to exactly what's happening. And now we're entering a situation in the cryptocurrency space where people are planning on pushing hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars into the cryptocurrency space. I'm going to make another video after this video and explain to you exactly how crazy the cryptocurrency space is getting, because I still think people don't get it. There's a really crazy stuff happening behind the scenes. I'm expecting something to boil over because a lot of people, it's no longer little money getting into this. It's now major corporations who expected in 2018 for the SEC to give them some type of clarity so that they're able to actually launch or list their thing. We even have the people from the New York Stock Exchange who even noted, they said it out loud. They were like, can someone please get it together? Because they planned on launching their thing last November. That's a long time to plan on launching something and have the CFTC go, okay, well, you know, we'll clarify all this in 30 days. It's basically June. Like they're taking so long and they're losing they're making the industry within the United States lose so much money because I'm trying to choose the nicest words. I'm trying not to use profanity or anything like that, but it's far too much at this point. They know that what they're doing is lazy. They're taking their time because they're used to the old system. This is what when I talk about the speed of cryptocurrencies, it's not just the transaction speeds, it's also the actual movement of the entire cryptocurrency space. Like the cryptocurrency space within the rest of the world is not waiting for regulators within the United States. Like it means nothing to the rest of the world what the SEC and CFTC say about what's happening in Europe, in Africa, in South America, in Asia, Antarctica, if you want to throw that in there as well. So, I don't assume this will be very one-sided. I think a lot of people will ask explicitly, and I said this about a month ago when we had news that this meeting was going to happen or that this event was going to happen. I think people will finally just ask, what constitutes a security? Give us a list of exactly what needs to be done, because we've had two SEC officials come forward, say what one thought was a security, another one contradicted him. There was some paper that was put out that said that decentralization has to be a main factor, i.e. The nodes that you and your company own have to be less than the nodes that are actually publicly available. They released something else. There was no mention of decentralization at all. It was something completely different. So at some point they will have to do something, but I've lost all hope for any type of movement from the SEC or the CFTC anytime soon, and I mean that. And it's very detrimental. I'm expecting, if by the end of this year, we don't have any type of movement from the SEC or CFTC, you'd better believe we're going to have a couple of major cryptocurrency platforms, companies, industries, pack up and leave and go to Europe like everybody else did at this point. There's a reason why all these other places aren't like based in the US. It's because of them taking too long. So I think what it mainly comes down to is that people want to figure out, because when you sell these things, you have to like know the tax implications. If by the end of the year you are a huge company and you made $100 million off their trading, selling so-and-so cryptocurrencies, am I being taxed as a commodity? Am I being taxed as if I was selling, buying, and trading property like the IRS says? How am I going to be taxed on this? How, like, what exactly is going to happen? Like, no one is, I don't know. It's very frustrating and it's a little annoying, but hopefully if nothing else is clarified, I hope that someone at least screams at them or gets a little rowdy, because it's very sad what's happening. And yeah, I mean, anyway, let's move on. To kind of finish things up, for those who don't know what happened yesterday, Bitcoin ended up moving up in price and hit $9,100. And then suddenly, air quotes as large as I can possibly make them, fell back down and slammed down, I think around $500. And then eventually selling pressure ended up getting Bitcoin to around, it was like $8,078, somewhere around there. It's currently up a little bit more than that from where we were before. A lot of, and this is my opinion. If you've watched my videos before, you know how I am, what I think. I'm a little annoyed at the cryptocurrency space. It kind of is what it is. It's two things. Bitcoin was expected to break past $9,000 this week. That was pretty much a given, I want to say. A lot of people were expecting that. What happened and what continues to happen is that there's so many people, and I don't know who these people are. At this point, I probably will never meet them. I don't care to be their friends. There are a lot of analysts and other crypto YouTuber channels who are so desperate to be correct for prices to actually go down. I think it's causing an enormous amount of people in the cryptocurrency space to actually be afraid and have sell orders at certain prices just so that they don't get burned. But it's causing this really weird snowball effect. Bitcoin was going to hit 9,000. Pullback was expected. This happens all the time. Every single time that Bitcoin either has been going back up or has been even hitting monumental amounts, even on our way up from $900 to $20,000. Every time we hit something significant, we pulled back a little bit in price. But what's happening is that every single time that Bitcoin pulls back in price, a lot of really weird articles, like even if I scroll down to the end of this somewhere around here, it says the fact that Bitcoin quickly reversed, effectively negating upwards pressure, has some worried. That's a lie. No one's worried. If you're actually looking at the actual fundamentals of what's happening in the cryptocurrency space, how many people are actually into Bitcoin, this is exactly why I'm going to make the next video like right now and then upload it eventually at some point in the very, very, very near future. I don't get it. Everyone, too many people in the cryptocurrency space. You know, remember when we had in 2017 that entire, we had about a good 300 hype channels, everyone talking about, yeah, crypto's going to hit this, crypto's going to go so-and-so. That's been morphed into this like really weird world where all the new cryptocurrency channels are just talking about negative price influences, or what's going to happen negative. You know, man, prices are going too high. I think prices are going to dip. Guys, did you see the price go up? My indicator tells me the price is going to go down. And it's like, where are you getting these indications from? Who exactly is feeding this stuff to you? And I see a lot of people on my Twitter as well, writing sometimes or sending me messages, talking to me or whatever, and they're telling me so-and-so said the prices are going to go down. Right. The same exact people who told you that prices were going to go down are also the same exact people that told you Bitcoin was going to hit 800, 1200, 2200 when it was floating around $3,000. There's not one person out there who thought when Bitcoin was at $6,000 that it was going to drop down to 3,200 because of Bitcoin Cash, Satoshi's vision coming to light, being birthed, whatever kind of word you want to use. No one, you can't say where things are going to go in the cryptocurrency space. It's impossible. There are far too many factors in the cryptocurrency world right now to be able to say anything accurately where anything is going to go. The point of the matter is, when that's and then even further, remember the news that we had about a good week and some change ago where Bitcoin actually ended up pushing past $8,000 and then it fell back down for 30 minutes and ended up shooting right back up. There's so many people out there who are so desperate to push down the price of Bitcoin, whether it be for them to be correct or for them to accumulate more. Don't lose sight of exactly what's going on behind the scenes. If you're a trader, go for it. Have fun. Trade your heart out. Do exactly what you need to do. Other people out there, don't lose focus on exactly what's happening. Don't get afraid. I'm starting to see some of the comments, and I know that these are either bots or people who have nothing better to do with their day. They're scaring so many people in the comment section. I sit there and I'm like, what are you people talking about? Some people are like trying to either scare people for the coins that they're holding. Don't hold Bitcoin. You should only be holding SV. And I'm like, no one watching this channel should ever. If someone tells you to only own Satoshi's vision, delete them from your life, block them. You do not need that kind of negativity. That you don't need them in your life. Something amazing is happening in the cryptocurrency space. Bitcoin is going to go back over $9,000. It is a given. It is going to happen. This downward pressure, all of this stuff that we're experiencing is because of negativity. And I know in my heart that's exactly what's going on. Bitcoin should not be lower than $10,000. But there's so many very prominent, dominant, huge people in the cryptocurrency space who are corralling people into believing that Bitcoin. I heard a prominent Bitcoin person, not going to even, once again, not saying any names, who said that Bitcoin is overvalued and should be trading around $3,000 to $4,000. How insane you have to be to think that Bitcoin is overvalued when we know all the stuff that's going to happen. Just a country announcing that one country announcing that they're going to be issuing Bitcoin bonds should be enough for Bitcoin's price to at least be over $12,000. Prices are depressed right now, and they're going to continue to remain this way until big money starts throwing more money into the market. You know what? Yeah, no, I'm done. No, I'm done with this topic right here. I'm going to make my second video right now to let everybody know exactly what's happening in the cryptocurrency space, just so you all get it, just so everyone behind the scenes. And of all the negative people, live your own life. Stop spreading your negativity onto other people. It's old. It's lame. I'm tired of seeing it. I'm tired of seeing it in the comment section. I'm tired of seeing people posting on Twitter, yeah, Bitcoin's going to go down to $3,000. I'm like, okay, you please, by all means, you wait for that amount. Tell me exactly when Bitcoin hits $15,000. Please tell me exactly how that $3,000 Bitcoin is looking for you. I'm done with this topic. I'm so annoyed with I'm trying not to use the S word with the stuff happening in the cryptocurrency space. Let's move on. As always, an enormous thank you to my Patreon supporters: Professor Wally from Gunbot University, SC Verzely Fine Art, Crypto and Beer Shipmate, Brady Niels, L. Doug, Jared Schneider, Wise Knight Owl, Shaolin Fried Rice, Gilbo, Snake Crypto, Joe, Mohair Maroney, Carl Birchenoff, singer-songwriter Mike Savitz, Rai, Yasha Harari, Amy Starsheen, Jeffrey Ramsey, Crypnotic, Clara T. Snowden, Crypto Artist, Cody 3D, Nicholas, One Earth, One Peace, One Love, Setsuna, Nick Kanaya, Richie Rich III, RF Dusty, Cody, Vlad the Impaler, Paxis, Sam, Siri Vaseline? I hope that is correct. I think I wrote that correctly. Sam Siri Vaseline, I think that's correct. Jeremy the photographer, Jim Gardner, Minting Coins, Arthur Yaku, Nick Mangialavori, Anthony Charles, and Mechanic. Thank you all very much for your support. Even with us hitting a $8,000 Bitcoin, we are already almost up by $400. Because logically, we probably shouldn't have fallen in the first place. The altcoins have taken some of the largest hits. SV shouldn't have been up this high in the first place. It's very fragile and it's going to continue falling, my opinion. A lot of the other altcoins are anywhere down from 7 to around just below 10%. I assume this is going to continue happening at least for the rest of the day until Bitcoin starts its upward movement back up. I hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and listening. I hope you enjoyed. I think my headache went away. I think I screamed my headache away. Maybe we should all try that. Anyway, thank you all once again for watching and listening. I appreciate all of your support, and I will definitely be talking to you all soon. See you.